All in Sports Network. We love sports.
It is Tuesday, September 9th, right here on your daily fix for all things Texas Longhorns. I'm Tanner Carlson. That is Jake Jimerson, and this is All In Horns, presented to you by Rogue Sports Network. We've got some injury updates to go over, including some of one of the more strange discussions that Steve Sarkisian has had in a press conference. We'll go over those comments. I'm sure it's making its rounds on the social media platforms and slowly becoming viral. And so we'll definitely hit on that a little bit as well, as that was done earlier today in terms of the time of recording. But this is obviously coming out Tuesday. So anyway, we'll discuss all that. And then also, hey, one thing that we haven't mentioned that we are going to mention a little bit, going to touch on it, starting off the season undefeated, Texas Volleyball looking really good up to this point in the year. So looking forward to seeing what they are all about this year and see if they can redeem their tournament loss after a couple of national championship appearances and victories as well. So trying to get back on the mountaintop is the volleyball team. All right, Jake, how was the weekend? Able to kind of marinate in the game on Saturday, able to sit back, watch NFL week 1 all day Sunday into Monday. It's now Tuesday. How are we feeling? Have any of the immediate reaction comments that were made on Saturday, have those changed at all? What's your thought process now?
Looking back at our immediate reaction video, I actually feel like we were pretty level-headed after the game, at least comparatively to some of the fan base. But you're going to get that with any fan base. You're going to get overreactions to big wins. You're going to get overreactions in the bad way to wins that aren't up to the standard, quote unquote. And which that game wasn't. And Sarkisian talked about it with the penalties and stuff. But my kind of feeling is pretty similar after watching the tape again and kind of looking at some of the PFF grades, which I know aren't gospel or anything, but when they match the eye test, it gives you a pretty good idea that what you're seeing was right, which we'll get into that later in the episode. But I just thought they killed themselves with penalties in that game, and that stopped them from having 50-plus points. If they just have 3 penalties for 30 yards total in that game, because I think about 80 of the penalty yards were on offense.
Yeah.
Another 10 to 15 on special teams that affected the field position as well. It put them in 3rd and long all game long.
First play of the game.
Yeah, people were talking about the 3rd down conversion rate in this game. Well, when you're at 3rd down and I think it was 9.7 yards was the average to go on 3rd down, it doesn't matter if you're playing a high school defense. It's going to be difficult to convert consistently. And it's, San Jose State was a decent team last year, and I know they blew that game 1 by missing some field goals, and that was a game that they were obviously expected to win. But San Jose State played hard in that game, and they're not just going to give up every 3rd and 10 just because Texas has better athletes.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, Jake, and I kind of resemble those remarks that you've made, and so I tend to agree with you, especially more so with the team grades. Team grades come out, whether it's PFF or whatever they look like, and when those grades match what I see on the field, you kind of have to, not take it as gospel, but you do have to take it as, all right, well, things are starting to line up here, and that's not always good. That's always bad, but at least you have an answer one way or the other. I think there's a competition at left guard between Neto and between Connor Stroh. We'll get into that here shortly. But first, Jake, let's give some injury updates on some guys. And I know Trey Wisner was kind of first on that list.
Yeah. One other takeaway also from the week, look across the nation. There isn't one team other than Florida State that looks just really, really good on a week-to-week basis right now. All teams that seem to be expected to be in the national title conversation are struggling. Ohio State ran through Grambling, but you can't sit there and say, well, if you're saying Texas sucks, you can't say they dominated week 1. That was a very close game. And so, just South Carolina struggled. Clemson struggled. Florida lost to South Florida. South Florida might be I mean, if you're ranking teams based off resume, they're number 1 or 2 in the country right now. So it's a weird start to the year. There's not a dominant looking team of the teams that were expected to look dominant this year.
LSU, Georgia.
LSU didn't look good in their Louisiana Tech game. How good is that Clemson win? Clemson looks putrid.
Yeah.
At home against Troy, probably should have lost that game. So yeah, a general takeaway right now is unless you're going to bet on Florida State to win the national title, which they very well might, you have no idea who's going to win right now, because if Georgia
you want
to
throw Oregon, maybe, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, Oregon's looked impressive the first 2 weeks. I think Oklahoma State versus Grambling would be a competitive matchup. I'm not even joking. I mean, Oklahoma State is like rock. They've scraped through rock bottom. They have drilled through it. They are in the Earth's core, just melting.
Real quick before we get any further, and I need a real fast answer. Mike Gundy's got to be. I mean,
he should have been fired last year.
Yeah, like he's got to be gone.
Supposed to be a decent team last year, and they were horrible.
Yeah,
their last good year was Texas's last year in the Big 12, and
they got destroyed in the Big 12 championship game.
Yeah, the game wasn't even competitive. I think that had more to do with the Big 12 not being very strong that year.
Sure.
And Oklahoma State's schedule that year lended to them getting where they did. I don't think they played K-State that year. They beat OU, but OU wasn't. I mean, they had the whole Lincoln Riley disaster going, and that was Brent Venables actually. But
it was Brent Venables' first year. It was his first season.
Yeah, I think that's what it was, and
it was an exile of Riley players, and then a whole thing at OU at that time.
Yeah, and so I just I don't think any team across the country looks dominant, but I think one of the keys we can agree on for Texas moving forward is to stay healthy.
Yep.
I think they're being very safe with some key guys that they don't need to see more of. Trey Wisner being one of those. He's battling a leg injury. Apparently he had it during camp, some type of hamstring issue, I believe I read. The fact that he played Ohio State and then they started sitting him tells you all you need to know. If they were playing Florida tomorrow, he would be in. He has nothing to prove. He just needs to be healthy.
Yeah.
CJ Baxter, you can just give extra carries and keep letting him get back in the flow of things. He seems to keep improving carry by carry. The DeAndre Moore injury, he may sit out some time. Who knows with how these games are going, but it sounds like it's not anything serious. It's going to keep him out of conference play. Alex January expected to miss some more time, also not supposed to miss conference play from what I've been reading. So some guys who I think they're going to sit to be careful with. It doesn't sound like anything right now that is going to carry over into conference play. Now let's talk about everyone thinking that Arch Manning's shoulder is injured because he made a Manning face when he threw a football, which just to dispel it right away that that's not a thing. Because first off, people are talking about him doing this with his shoulder pads. Go look at his high school tape. He's
done. It's a tick that he has. It's not a. I don't know if it's a tick. It's like a quarterback licking their hand
loose.
Yeah,
he likes his shoulders to feel loose. And then they talk about the grimace on the one throw. There's a picture you can go look at from Arch throwing in camp where he's doing the same thing. It's just a Manning face thing.
It's Manning face.
He's been hurt all year, and they were making him throw in camp injured, which I can guarantee you March Manning, his family, nor Steve Sarkisian would have been having him do on non-padded days, just throwing footballs to wide receivers not defended. Yeah, that wouldn't have been happening. So, my worry on the Arch meter being hurt is a 1 out of 10, and I'll let you take it away with Sarkisian's interesting comment.
Okay, so here's my take on the arching. When it happened, I saw it happen, and I even told you, I think I texted you, I was like, ooh, what was that face? And then I immediately realized it's raining outside. It was a horrible throw. It probably was the ball coming a little loose out of his hands and slipping away, and he immediately was just reacting while the ball was still in his hands of like, this is going to be a bad pass. And it was Manning face. It was just, it was just one of those like,
and guess what?
Crap.
If he would have been doing that the rest of the game every time he threw, guess what the broadcast would have been showing and talking about the entire game?
Yeah.
They would have
Yeah.
been showing that. Also, Arch would have been pulled earlier. Even if he was hurt playing on an undisclosed injury, he would not have played as deep into the game once the game was put away. So I'm not worried about that. I think some Texas fans are just trying to look for excuses why he's not looking like a Heisman favorite.
Yeah.
But those are also fans who just had unrealistic expectations for how he would start the season.
Well, I think it's that, and I think it's also media people trying to just come up with a story, something to write about, and I do think that is, that's happening in Austin. That's happening for beat writers for Texas. Is there a story with Arch? I don't even know if it's necessarily supposed to be rat poison, but it's just, is there something with Arch that we can, like you said, explain his level of play that he's displayed? And I think Sark can kind of sniff through that type of reporting of, I'm just trying to find a story here. I'm just trying to report something and muck up the water a little bit when it comes to this team. But see, Sark is typically very clever, very quick-witted. And he's typically pretty transparent, especially when it comes to information and injuries and things of that nature of who's playing, who's not playing. If you ask him a question, you're pretty much going to get a straightforward answer. And every time, from time to time, he will throw in a quick little jab. This wasn't his best moment. This was not a great joke or whatever it is that he was trying to come up with. I don't know where it even came from, but I don't take pictures of all of you taking of you guys going to the bathroom and what your faces look like when you're doing that. It was supposed to obviously be kind of a quick-witted little retort to an otherwise stupid question. It came out very awkward and uncomfortable, not funny. It made me cringe a little bit. I was like, "Oh, that's not a great sign." I'm hopeful it's not a sign of things to come for this Texas team, because that's one of those things that you can look back a year from now, you know, coming into the playoffs, say Texas misses the playoffs, you can always kind of resort back to week 2 press conference with Sark and be like, yeah, this is where it all started, was this comment right here. I'm just hoping that type of thing doesn't happen right now.
Yeah, it probably Sark's worst moment in a press conference.
It was really weird.
Yeah, I think he's probably been seeing the discourse about it, and then he gets asked about it, and he just probably got annoyed. I think he's probably also a little frustrated with after watching the tape, and just when you're coaching the game, he's got to focus on the next play constantly. He's always focused on the next thing. He can't dwell on the past. I think he was a little frustrated going back and watching the film and seeing how much was left on the field. Because, you talk about Arch and you talk about the grimace, and that was his worst throw of the game by far. Arch played a pretty good game. Going back and watching it, I thought Arch played a little better than I initially thought after the game. I thought Arch is probably one of the better performers on the entire offense. He navigated the pocket extremely well, which we talked about. But most of his balls were on target. I don't know. Watching an NFL game, Mahomes missed some passes in their first game. Like, quarterbacks don't just hit every single pass, and he hit enough of them, and he was accurate on several that were dropped. If receivers just catch the damn ball, he's sitting at around 23 of 30 with probably about over 300 some yards and another touchdown maybe. But yeah, I just want to move past this Sark statement and just forget it happened. That's what I'm choosing to do with it, and know that he'll probably go back and hear that and be like, not my best moment, and just
not
move
my
on.
best.
It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But it was just cringy, and it's not something you expect from Sark because he's normally so well spoken.
And very cool under pressure, and he always typically delivers a quick.
And it was Kirk Bowles who asked the question, and guess who asked Sark the dumbest questions every single press conference that get under Sark's skin. It's always the same guy.
And I think Kirk actually knows that, and so now he's just doubling down just to get a sound bite like he got. And so, mark one for Kirk in this round because he got the best.
Kirk won that battle. He got the clip that's gone viral today.
He finally got the clip that makes Sark look bad. And so, but you're right. It's probably exactly what he's trying to do. So, Jake, I don't know if you mentioned Alex January in the injury report, but he is expected to miss a little bit more time. Okay.
Likely another week. I wouldn't be surprised if he's back for Sam Houston
I would even
Definitely will be back for Florida.
again, if anything, he'll be back for Florida, and I would almost expect that more than anything because, again, you don't, especially defensive line, a D tackle, you've got a plethora of guys that you can fill in, and you don't force a guy like Alex January back to re-aggravate anything, no matter how minor it may or may not be. All right, Jake, let's kind of look at some of the stats of this Texas offense. Some of the problem areas, some things that went well, but you've already mentioned the third down distance, the average of 9.7 yards, but the penalties were a big cause of it. If Arch's NFL passer rating, if he was in the NFL as passer rating when pressured or blitzed, it would be sitting at a 73.8. When he's not blitzed, he's nearly a perfect passer rating at 146.9.
Yeah. I mean, and guess what's going to happen against Florida? And hopefully it happens the next two games. I really hope people blitz the hell out of Texas the next two games, because that's not something you can simulate that well in practice because there's not a threat of you getting hit.
Right.
And Arch did do well, throw some good passes under pressure in his time last year. But guess what Brent Venables is going to do? He is going to send the most exotic blitz pressers. And guess what Brent Venables is? He's a really good defensive coordinator. And he's calling the Oklahoma defense this year. He took it over. He is going to try to have Arch Manning in hell like he had Bryce Underwood in hell, which, by the way, if you listen to this podcast, that game was not a surprise. And now the OU fans who tried to dog Texas immediately after beating Michigan last year at Michigan, saying it's the worst Michigan team ever, are now bragging after beating a Michigan team who did not look good week one against New Mexico and are playing a true freshman quarterback. Oh, how the turntables.
Yeah. But this Michigan team at the end of the day has the potential to be worse than last year's team. Potential.
Yeah. Bryce Underwood's their best offensive player, and he's not very good yet. He's going to be really good. You can see
he's going to be. You can see glimpses and flashes of his play, but he's just not there yet. I mean, he's played. He was playing high school football he was playing against kids failed their algebra test a season ago that aren't even going to be playing at the next level at any level. So yeah, he'll figure it out. He'll figure it out. But yeah. So that is one thing. I don't think that these next. I don't think UTEP or Sam Houston is going to be blitzing very often, unfortunately. I think they're going to be playing not conservative, but they're just going to be trying to do everything they can to stop the pass. And so
I think they'll to do that, they'll blitz. I mean, the San Jose State blitzed quite a bit in that game. And I though you could just sit back in coverage and try to make them run the ball. I think that's the scary thing for the Texas offense right now is until they get an identity solidified, I think there's a lot of ways to play against them right now until they prove otherwise. Because you can sit back in coverage and go, you can run for 4 yards a carry, but we're not going to allow you to throw anything down the field like Ohio State did.
Yeah, and that's a really good point you make, Jake. When we talk about these numbers and we talk about some of these stats and we talk about just watching this offense and kind of the struggles that they faced, I think that is a big part of it. They don't have an identity yet, and that's fine. It's fine that you don't have an identity. It's mostly because you haven't really played together and you're a fairly new offense trying to make things work. But with that said, they're not a power run team. They're not a zone run team. They're not a spread run team. They're not really a West Coast air raid type team. They don't really have speedsters on the outside aside from Wingo. Arch and Wingo aren't connecting, so that doesn't really do you any good right now. So it's like, what is the identity of this offense so far? We would have gotten a good see of it at Ohio State. Ohio State was shutting that down. And then Sam Houston State, it was riddled by penalties, so you really couldn't get in that rhythm quite yet of what that's going to look like. But yeah, I think establishing an identity would be crucial for this team. Establish who you are. Are you going to, establish the run to set up the pass? Are you going to set up the pass first and establish that, and then you can find some run lanes later on and wear out defenses in the second half with your run game? What are we? What are we going to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think Sark would love to be able to run the ball first and to get play action going with Manning. I don't know how well that's going to work because to me, to set up the run, it's not just about getting 4 yards at a time. You got to be able to have some explosive runs, or teams are going to deal with giving up 4 yards at a time because every now and then they're going to stop you for 1 for 2 or for 1 or at the line of scrimmage. And then you get 2nd and 10. And then what do you do from there? Do you try to run the ball again? And to me, the whole key to this offense, because Livingston is a burner as well. A lot of people talked about speed. I think people have gotten spoiled with having 2 of the fastest 40 times in NFL history in recent years. I think Livingston and Wingo provide plenty of speed. And you have some other guys as well that you can try to work in eventually, but I think it's speed at running back where a lot of people are talking about, and I would agree with that. They lack speed at running back right now. But to me, the whole key to this offense is Wingo, Arch to Wingo has to connect. If that does not connect, this offense is not going to be good this year. Because Wingo can catch a 5-yard pass and take it 70 yards.
Yeah, and Arch has not connected on 5-yard passes to Wingo. I mean, we saw it basically lose the Ohio State game.
And it's not all Arch's fault. It's Arch one play, it's Wingo another. And I'll tell you one thing Sark said in his press conference that I agree with 1,000%. 2 players in particular, and we talked about this a little, that we thought some players were pressing too much. We talked about this in our instant reaction Saturday. Wingo and Colin Simmons are pressing way too much.
Yeah.
And Sark said that in his press conference. He's with Colin Simmons, you're not going to get 10 sacks in 1 play. Looks like he's trying to get 10 sacks in 1 play. And guess what? He has 5 penalties through 2 weeks. I think Sark said he leads the country in penalties. I didn't fact check that, but it's hard to imagine having much more than 5.
It seems like it seems like Colin Simmons is just trying to just video game one arm shove Reggie White, throw an offensive lineman out of his way and get to the quarterback in half a second. And does he have that capability? Sure he does. But you can't force it. It doesn't just happen that way. You can't just do that on a play-by-play basis. It's kind of so what Colin Simmons is doing at the pass rusher position is similar to what a quarterback would be doing if it's just Hail Mary, Hail Mary, Hail Mary, Hail Mary. Sooner or later, we're going to hit the bomb, right? Sooner or later, an 80-yard touchdown is going to happen after bombing it every single play of every single game. And right now, that's what Colin Simmons is doing, except on the edge.
Yeah, and it's resulting in penalty when you're jumping off sides. I mean, that's a key indicator. The hands to the face. I mean, he's not focused on the little things and the fundamentals, and he's not letting the game come to him.
Yeah.
And Wingo, I'll say this, Wingo's very good in blocking. He's the best blocking wide receiver on this team, other than maybe when Emmett Mosley comes in, because his blocking at Stanford was extremely impressive. And I think Mosley will help a lot of things in this offense as well. He'll give them another really solid option at wide receiver, because then you have 4 wide receivers that you can really trust, hopefully in theory. Wingo, Livingston, Moore, and Mosley, and then see if you can bring on I thought Khaleke Lockett looked good in his limited playing time against San Jose State. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get some earlier run in some of these next 2 games. But I think the whole key to this offense really is just if Wingo and Arch can get the connection going sooner rather than later, preferably, this offense is going to be just fine.
Well, it's going to open up so many other options.
Yeah, and I think the other key to this offense, to not just have an Arch-related key to the offense, is they got to figure out the best 5 on the offensive line. I don't know if they figure that out. And I have some notes in here. As far as PFF grades go, Gooseby, who I thought had a great game just from my test, he did. He graded out about an 83 on a PFF grade. That's really good for offensive line. I swear PFF, I don't know who grades offensive linemen, but they are. Kelvin Banks would have like some great games and he'd grade out at like a 65. And their grading system, I don't know who does it, but it is harsh.
Yeah.
But so Gooseby, that's a really good game. Cole Hudson, we talked about thinking he really struggled. He was at a 47.4 and it looked like it. I mean, I do not expect that to be a norm for him, but it begs the question, because I know Connor Robinson had graded out really high at his time at center at about a 75. And I know they say they really trust him. Is maybe your best 5 bringing in Robertson at center and bumping Hudson to left guard. I'd love to see them tinker with this offensive line. I know you need to get reps as a 5, but you need reps with a 5 that's your best 5. And Connor Stroh was solid against Ohio State. Against some smaller, quicker guys in San Jose State, he really struggled. He was at a 47.6 grade, while Neto was at a 61.7. I thought Neto played a little bit better than that grade even shows, to be honest. I thought Neto was pretty good in this game. Stroh was, on second watch, he was just a liability almost every snap. And that's, you can't have him being good one week and a liability the next. So they got to figure out who the best 5 is, whether that means tinkering with who your center is and moving Hudson to left guard. You know Hudson's a really good guard. I wouldn't hate seeing them try that, and unless Neto or Stroh can just outright win the job. I'm not saying Stroh can't start. He looked good against right now the number 1 team in the nation, but he also looked terrible against a not so good team. So they got to tinker with this offensive line over the next 2 weeks and figure out who their best 5 is. And maybe it's a different 5 than what they've trotted out the last 2 weeks.
All right, Jake. Hey, let's go ahead and give everybody a taste of Underdog here. Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. And you can do that right here with All In Horns. Download the app today. Sign up with promo code HORNS to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. Use promo code HORNS. And we've got some early picks this season. They typically are a little later in the week when it comes to getting college picks up, but they do always have some NFL plays. And so Jake and I are going to have some NFL entries here for you. And Jake, tell us a little bit about these higher lowers for us.
Yeah. Ironically, going with all Cowboy division people that I don't like, but I liked the opportunities there. Debo Samuel going higher than 4.5 receptions against Green Bay. I think Washington will be down in that game and they'll be throwing a lot. Debo was very involved, as my fantasy team shows in that first week and will continue to show. Great pick by me. Saquon Barkley, I like going higher than half a rush or receiving touchdown. Every week that is at a half, I am going to bet or make the pick of higher. AJ Brown, I like to go higher than 54.5 receiving yards. You have to figure they're going to target him an obsessive amount in this game after only being targeted once for 8 yards. And the whole Jalen Hurts hates AJ Brown talk starting up again, which I love to hear. But every time that happens, the very next game he goes for 100 plus.
No, you're exactly right. I was going to say that seems to be a repeating topic, and it seems to be a repeating outcome of AJ Brown typically goes over 100 yards, has like 7 catches and 2 touchdowns after the fact that happens. Here's my entry, Jake. Ignore that Houston Cougars Colorado game. I've already cashed that one out. That was an incidental entry. So just slash through that one. Here's my thing. I also believe that the Commanders will be trailing the Packers in that Thursday night game, especially on the road on a short week. And so I believe Terry McLaurin will be getting higher than 4.5 receptions on that one. Josh Jacobs, I think, has the longest active streak of touchdowns scored by a single individual player going back to last year. And so I think that he continues that streak, and I think he at least gets a touchdown, whether that be rushing or receiving, in this game. And then Jalen Hurts will get a tush-push touchdown because he can't go 2 weeks without getting a tush-push touchdown. He did get 2 rushing touchdowns against Dallas, and that one did become true for my picks last week. I made that exact same entry of Jalen Hurts with a rushing or receiving touchdown over half. So, but anyway, hey, if you sign up today, if you're not signed up, go ahead, sign up and download the app today. Use promo code HORNS to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. It's a $5 entry. It's really not that hard. And then you get $50 additional on top of it. So you're really gaining $45 of play money by using promo code HORNS today. Again, millions of fans have won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Again, must be 18 years or older in Texas, 19 years or older in Alabama and Nebraska, and in Colorado for some games. They do have other games like fantasy and other pick'ems that you can play. 21 in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web. Play and get terms for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. If you're concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. If you're in New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-New York or HOPE-NY, or text HOPE-NY at 467369. All right, Jake. Last thing I want to talk about today before we end the episode is Texas volleyball starting off the season undefeated, 4-0 with wins over number 12 Creighton. That was a sweep. That was a little bit of a revenge game after their Sweet 16 loss. They beat Wisconsin in a sweep as well. They're the number 8 team in the country. They beat receiving votes Rice 3-1, and then number 6 Stanford. That did take 5 series to win that game, but did beat Stanford, number 6 in the country. So they've got wins over 3 top 15 teams and a team who is receiving votes. Texas looks to be back on top of the mountaintop, or at least on a mission to stay there and regain those title hopes.
Yeah, came in a little kind of under the radar in a way this year comparatively. I don't think they were in the top 5 to start. I'm not sure where the rankings are at yet. Needs to be easier to just pull up volleyball rankings, by the way. But they have plenty of great tests.
Any college athletics, Jake, the only college athletics that's easy to pull up is men's basketball and football. I have a tough time pulling up baseball stuff.
Oh, yeah, and there's like 15 different. Yeah, Texas is up to number 2 now after the week. And it looks like they were number 2 in the AVCA before. But I could have sworn I saw a different ranking with them at 7 to start the year. I don't.
Probably.
It's kind of like baseball where there's several different rankings. But plenty of good tests coming up as well for Texas. They'll be playing in Fort Worth here soon against number 4 Louisville. That'll be on Wednesday. So
talk
tomorrow.
About a brutal start to your season, though.
Yeah,
That's
and guess
insane.
who they play after Louisville? They play number 9 Arizona State. That'll be back in Austin, a home game for the Lady Horns, and that will be on Sunday. So they at least get a little time in between these games, but 2 more top 10 opponents coming up. That will be through their first 6 games. They will have played 4 top 10 opponents.
I wonder what that Arizona State game on Sunday is looking like ticket wise. That might be fun to go to.
Yeah, it's sold out on the Texas website, but you can grab some seats online for $25.
We don't have a ticket site that sponsors the show.
That's why I didn't list it.
If there's any ticketing site that would like some promo, then we're here for you. So, all right, Jake, that's going to do it for today's episode. Again, like, share, and subscribe. If you've made it 30 minutes into this episode and you're not subscribed, what are you doing at this point? You might as well hit subscribe. It costs you nothing but a click of the mouse to do. And so we appreciate the support. Very close to 800 subscribers. I think last time we checked, we were at 796, something along those lines. So we're very close to 800. The goal was to get to 800 before the season, but hey, if we get it by week 3, it's just a slow start like the Texas offense. So we'll be there, and so will Texas. As always, ladies and gentlemen, like, share, and subscribe. Hook 'em.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.